Today, we're exploring the life and legacy of Dr. James Dobson, the evangelical powerhouse who shaped conservative Christian values for decades. From his founding of Focus on the Family to his passing in 2025, we're covering his cause of death, wife, age, family, net worth, lifestyle, and biography. This is a comprehensive look at a polarizing figure who left a massive mark on American culture. Grab a drink, get comfy, and let's dive into James Dobson's world. Whether you're curious about his impact or his personal life, stick around, we've got all the details. Let's get started. Let's begin with James Dobson's biography. James Clayton Dobson Jr. was born on April 21, 1936, in Shreveport, Louisiana, to Myrtle, Georgia and James C. Dobson Sr., both deeply religious Nazarene pastors. Growing up in a strict household that banned dancing and movies, young Jimmy Lee traveled with his evangelist parents, often staying with relatives, per Wikipedia. A rebellious teen, he later grew close to his father, a preacher who wore out his toes from praying on his knees, per Reporter News. Dobson studied psychology at Pasadena College, now Point Loma Nazarene University, where he met his wife, Shirley, and served as tennis team captain. He earned a Ph.D. in child development from the University of Southern California in 1967 and worked as a psychologist at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. His first book, Dare to Discipline, 1970, advocating moderate corporal punishment, became a hit, positioning him as a counterpoint to Dr. Benjamin Spock's permissive parenting, per the New York Times. In 1977, he founded Focus on the Family, a nonprofit that grew into a $140 million empire by the 1990s, producing radio shows, magazines, and films, reaching 220 million people in 164 countries, per Wikipedia. Dobson led it until 2010, then launched the Dr. James Dobson Family Institute and Family Talk Radio, per Hindustan Times. A key evangelical voice, he advised presidents from Reagan to Trump, opposed abortion and LGBTQ+ rights, and pushed for traditional family values, earning both praise and criticism, per AP News. Now, let's address James Dobson's cause of death and age. Dr. Dobson passed away on August 21, 2025, at his home in Colorado Springs, Colorado, at the age of 89, per Mechical. The Dr. James Dobson Family Institute confirmed his death but did not disclose the specific cause, with statements suggesting it followed a brief illness, per Mechical. No official reports from sources like the New York Times or AP News specify a cause, and speculation on X about heart issues or cancer remains unverified. Born on April 21, 1936, Dobson was 89 at the time of his death, having lived a long, impactful life, per PBS News. On to his wife and family. James married Shirley Deere on August 26, 1960, in a ceremony he described as a sacred commitment, per National Day of Prayer Task Force. Shirley, a nationally recognized leader in women's affairs and Christian organizations, chose to be a homemaker after their marriage, per wiki-n.org. They were married for 64 years until his death, and she survives him, per AP News. Shirley grew up in a challenging household with an alcoholic father and a hard-working mother, Alma, Rosie the Riveter, who raised her alone, per National Day of Prayer Task Force. The couple had 2 children, Danae Dobson, who received a golden key necklace from her father at age 10 symbolizing purity, and Ryan Dobson, an adopted son born in 1970 who advocates for adoption and speaks on youth and pro-life issues, per Blinging Beach. They also have a daughter-in-law, Laura, and 2 grandchildren, per Mechical. Dobson's family was central to his mission, with his institute stating, his unwavering faith and devotion to family shaped generations, per Hindustan Times. Let's talk about James Dobson's net worth in 2025. Estimates of his wealth at the time of his death range from $4 million to $5 million, per Famous People Today and Gazette Direct. His fortune came from book royalties, over 70 books, including Dare to Discipline, which sold 4.5 million copies, his Focus on the Family radio program, and Family Talk, syndicated in 160 countries, per Gazette Direct. At its peak, Focus on the Family had a $140 million budget, and the Dr. James Dobson Family Institute reported $11.4 million in revenue in 2024, per Gazette Direct. Dobson didn't take a salary from his institute in later years, but earlier leadership roles, speaking engagements, and media ventures like a 1989 Ted Bundy interview that raised $1 million for Focus added to his wealth, per Gazette Direct. His modest lifestyle, rooted in his Nazarene upbringing, kept his spending in check, per wiki-n.org. Dobson's lifestyle in 2025 reflected his conservative values and religious roots. He lived in Colorado Springs, home to Focus on the family's headquarters, in a comfortable but not lavish home, per Metrical. His daily routine, based on interviews, involved early mornings praying, writing, or recording family talk, which reached 500,000 weekly listeners, per PBS News. He avoided extravagance, driven by his belief in biblical stewardship, and spent time with Shirley, kids, and grandkids, per National Day of Prayer Task Force. Travel was minimal, mostly for speaking engagements or political advising, like White House visits under Reagan and Trump, per BBC. His hobbies included reading theology and playing tennis, a nod to his college days, per Wikipedia. Socially, he connected with evangelical leaders like Jerry Falwell and Tony Perkins, who called him a Mount Rushmore figure for Christian conservatives, per AP News. Posts on X note his disciplined life, with one user, at Faithful Voice, saying, Dobson lived what he preached, faith and family first. His 1998 stroke, caused by a tiny blood clot in his brain's eloquence cortex, briefly affected his speech but didn't slow him long-term, per Baptist Press. Dobson's legacy is complex. Supporters credit him with strengthening families, with historian John Fea noting his father became a better parent through Dobson's advice, per AP News. Critics, like Wayne Bazin of Truth Wins Out, called his anti-LGBTQ+ stance cruelty disguised as Christianity, and the Southern Poverty Law Center labeled his Family Research Council a hate group in 2010, per BBC. Dobson's influence endures through his organizations and the conservative movement he shaped, advising presidents and pushing policies like state-level gay marriage bans, per Wikipedia. His support for Trump, despite earlier moral stances, stirred debate, with some ex-posts calling it a betrayal of his values, per Reporter News. In summary, Dr. James Dobson died at 89 on August 21, 2025, in Colorado Springs, likely from a brief illness, though no specific cause was confirmed. Married to Shirley for 64 years, he leaves behind 2 children, Danae and Ryan, a daughter-in-law, Laura, and 2 grandchildren. His net worth of $4 to $5 million came from books, radio, and his nonprofit empire. Born in Louisiana to Nazarene pastors, he founded Focus on the Family and championed conservative values, living modestly while influencing millions. Love him or not, his impact is undeniable. What's your take on Dobson's legacy? Drop it in the comments, like if this dive was insightful, and share with friends. Want more on evangelical leaders or his organizations? Let me know. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.